Hey, how's it going, everybody? We are back. I know it's been a long time. I probably haven't done one of these videos since like last year. But we're here with Frank Ruvoli.
What's up, man?
How's it
Thanks for
going?
having me.
Yeah. Today I just want to like kind of go into Frank's backstory and everything. This is something that I do on Lakeshore Explorer. We basically are just exploring the region, exploring the lakeshore. And we want to bring on more business owners. So far, it's just been musicians, but some of our musicians are also business owners. So I feel like that's a good transition going from business owner or going from musician to business owners, because I think that it just broadens the amount of the lakeshore I can explore. So,
And you're exploring it.
yeah, we are exploring it. So, Frank, tell me, what's the news? What have you been up to?
Yeah. So first off, I was telling you off camera, but I think George is like the modern day Wayne's World over here. All this
Yeah,
good stuff. You got all the equipment, running it on your own, and doing the show right from your house. And it's like my Wayne's World. As a kid growing up, this is what you always wanted to be at.
yeah,
So
definitely.
that's awesome.
And like I was telling Frank, like I watched Wayne's World religiously as a kid, and I literally have probably seen it 100 times. And I always wanted my own show. So I remember in college, like doing like practice shows in my basement. I built that desk over there specifically so that I had a lightweight desk to like go film interviews anywhere I went.
Oh, really?
But now I'm like, you know what? I don't need the desk. I'll just do this little fold out desk, whatever this is. And it works. But yeah, man. I play guitar too, so that's why I'm interested in music and stuff. And I've been following your music since I met you through James Guetta.
Yeah, about five, 6 years ago.
5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. And I know you had like a record label. Are you still doing that? Or was it Burning Bush? Fire Tree. That's it.
I was gonna name it Burning Bush Records. That was I was gonna name it, and I changed it to Fire Tree Records.
Cool, man. What how's that going? Are you still putting out music through that? Is your new stuff coming out through that, or?
Yeah, so that's basically I created that I think I started that in 2016 when I came out with my first EP. It's basically the business behind my music. To have a more of a structured business, and I did that because I'm a big fan of Dave Matthews. That's kind of how they started. They did their own record label and released live their first album on their own label, and then Jay-Z did the same thing when he started because at that time they weren't getting any record deals or anything, so they said, you know what, we'll just do it ourselves.
So yeah.
And in this day and age, I mean, we have all the technology and tools to do all this stuff ourselves too. So I wanted to do it basically to have a business behind my music, but then also to help our friends as well.
Yeah.
James, when he did an EP with me and we did the music video and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, these days I feel like a big record label is like completely not necessary.
Right.
It's more about, honestly, if you just blow up on social media,
Right.
you're going to be popular. That I saw a meme recently that's like, as a musician, I thought my main focus was going to be like playing shows and like making albums, not focusing on social media. Yeah, right. IRL, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
trying to get that one hit wonder.
Yeah. When did you? Let's go back to the beginning. When did you start with music? What kind of got you into it?
So I've always loved music. My first musical performance ever was 5th grade choir. I was Elvis for the Christmas show. And that's my first memory of a crowd erupting for me singing a song.
Cool.
Because it was an Elvis song and I had the hair curl from like a 50s Elvis. And I dipped the microphone at the end of the thing. So all the parents and grandparents loved it. They're going nuts. And, but I've always loved music. I never stayed with it though after that. I was a baseball player. So basically never did choir after that, never learned an instrument, played baseball all the way up to college, went and played at Wabash College and unfortunately tore my lat in my shoulder and I was a catcher. So I couldn't really play that well anymore couldn't play very well because my arm would be killing me after one day. So when you're catching and you have to throw every pitch back to the pitcher and play, it was hard. So I ended up having to hang up the cleats, so to speak. And then since I had all this time on my hands, my whole life was baseball practice, baseball games, trainings, workouts, all that stuff. Had so much more time that I never had before. And I'm like, well, I can either, party and probably get into some bad stuff, or I can party a little bit in college and get, learn a new skill, which I've always wanted to learn piano or guitar. And my fraternity brother actually had a guitar, and I would always go in his room and kind of strum stuff. I didn't even know what I was doing. So I always say he probably got annoyed with me always coming in his room because I don't really, I love talking to him, but I also was playing his guitar. And one day I asked him, I'm like, you never play this thing. Are you gonna sell it or anything? Or I'm like, you ever gonna play this? And I think he just looked at me. He's like, no, I'm gonna sell it. Probably like, buy it.
Yeah.
Get the heck
Like,
out of my
you
room.
buy it, yeah.
Yeah. So I bought my first guitar from him for $125, and literally went in my room and started learning off YouTube.
Wow.
All the time. That was basically what I did when I didn't have class or anything else.
So what year would that have been?
That would have been 2010.
Okay. And so there was already enough like content on YouTube at that point to learn?
Yeah. Well, there was a guy on there. He's well known. He was a teacher that got laid off during the recession. Marty Schwartz.
Mhm.
And he teaches guitar lessons. So I started doing that. And then at that time, there was people, doing like one-off, like how to play this song and how to play this song. So that's kind of how I learned. And I was just trying to learn the Bonfire songs. Because at the beginning, I'd just be that guy. Play Wonderwall.
Yeah, I was gonna say playing Wonderwall out on campus.
And Green Day, Good Riddance. Everybody's hanging around the big bonfire in college. Hey, I'll play a couple songs,
Yeah.
So.
Did anybody smash your guitar from playing Wonderwall too much?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, back then, I feel like that was still kind of the early days of YouTube. Like nowadays, we take it for granted just like how much is on YouTube, how much you can learn just from the internet. Because like back in the day, like you didn't have any of this stuff. Because like that's why I went to school for like audio video production, was because there was no other option.
Right.
Like you couldn't just learn it on the internet like you can these days.
Right.
So honestly, these days I probably wouldn't even recommend that someone goes to school for that stuff. Just learn it online.
Yeah.
Like I have a whole studio in my living room right now. And granted, like I learned a lot of stuff in school and working at PBS and stuff, but the really main bread and butter of what I know these days for my business was all learned online because everything gets outdated over time.
Yeah.
So,
and that was the same way I learned how to, like my first 2 EPs I did myself. And now I work with Nick Kazonis, and he does a great job. He went to school for recording and all that stuff.
yeah, Nick's great.
So, my stuff sounds better now, but that's actually, I learned how to record on YouTube and mix and master stuff. I know more now than I did then, but again, like I wanted to do it. I didn't have the money to go to a studio. Nick didn't have a studio at that time anyway. And really at that time, I didn't know even where a studio would have been up here other than going to the city.
Yeah.
And then it's super expensive.
I didn't know of any studios back then. They probably existed, but like social media wasn't real big. And it's like, how do you even know? You have to kind of know the person or a friend of a friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for you, it seems like every time I talk to you, you're doing something new, and I know, like you just Googled some stuff on where you were getting set up.
Yeah, literally setting this up. This is my first time using this setup. We're using the app Mix Effect for the people out there who want to know how we're like switching wirelessly, because I'm not switching any of this stuff. Basically, in Mix Effect, you can automatically switch to whoever's talking. So I had to Google how to get this working before this show today. So,
which is super cool.
Yeah,
makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
so you really started diving deeper in college. When was your first show?
So, my first actual show was I played. So during Easter break or spring break, whatever you want to call it, I think it was just a 4-day weekend for Easter or something like that, or maybe it was spring break. I played at a place in St. John called the Clubhouse. It was my first show back home, and it was great. Great, as in a lot of people came out to see, because the first time I ever played, I don't know how well I did. I probably didn't do very well. I remember being very nervous, but that went great. And then I met a guy came for like a business thing, but he was a musician and he had his own record label and he was doing stuff. His name was Zach Du Bois. So he came to a Wabash thing that we had for entrepreneurship, and he played a show there while he was there. I played a couple songs in between his break, and then the third show I played was, if you're familiar with Clayton Anderson, he's a great country guy. He's awesome. He's from Bedford, Indiana. So I always say like Clayton doesn't have like a national known name. Like if you say Taylor Swift, of course everybody's seen her, but he's very well known on like the college circuit and stuff. And he's done a lot of big shows like National Anthem for the Colts, and he plays IU like game day concerts and stuff. Like does a lot of good stuff. But he played a gig at Wabash, and my friends were like trying to get a hold of his team, like, hey, our buddy's getting into music, any chance he can open for you? He's got his own original songs and stuff. So we have never heard back from him. And then he rolled into town and they asked him, and he's like, yeah, I'll give him 20 minutes. I'm like,
Oh, nice.
so yeah, so that was like that was a good one because it was fun. It's a bunch of college kids. I was on a big stage under a big tent that they did for the party. And that was a lot of fun. So
you kind of fell in love with it from there.
Yeah, immediately.
And did you start playing a lot more shows right after that, or did you wait a while till you started getting into it? Or
no, so as soon as I graduated, I tried to start, once I came back home, I tried to jump right into the open mic game and, meet people at the bars and restaurants and venues to try to get some weekend gigs. Whereas like at that time, I'm just like, well, get better at guitar, get better at singing. And, you can make a couple $100 on a weekend or something at a bar or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then fast forward another 10 years, man, I'd play 3-4 nights a week and play all kinds of different shows.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. So as far as your progression goes, do you feel like you're a much better player now than you were, when you first started playing on stage? Was that nerve-wracking when you first got out there and things like that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I remember that first gig at Clubhouse, I think I remember I was like kind of shaking. And and at that point, my first few gigs, that first song, you're like kind of nervous, and you can even feel the shake in your vocals, like when you're trying to sing until you get comfortable. Now, I mean, that doesn't happen to me anymore. I get so excited to go out and play. I just want to start jamming.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
And yeah, from guitar work to, I would like to think, vocally, I've gotten a lot better. So
yeah,
especially from obviously when I started.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. How many, do you release albums, like full albums and stuff?
Yeah, so I did one in 2020. Where we're at 24. I did one last year. Full album, 10 songs. Released that with Nick. Nick recorded that, and then because of how fast, getting back on the social media, everything moves so fast. It's like if you don't release something or have some sort of content, then people forget about you.
Yeah.
So I try to release singles in between, and then we're kind of working on packaging. Or getting songs that we think would package well together for another album. But in the meantime, I have the new song coming out actually tonight at midnight, or however you want to say it, tomorrow. And I have another song already almost fully done and recorded. So, that'll be something that comes out in a couple months or whatnot.
Nice.
I like to have stuff in, kind of store away, ready to go.
And you recorded that new one that you're releasing tonight. That was at Niksch studio?
Yeah, Niksch studio, Region Buzz 219. Do full audio recording, mixing, mastering. He's got some of our other musician friends who they do lessons there for pretty much everything. They do lessons on how to record. I know he does some classes on that.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know he did those.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So they got all kinds of stuff that they do. So
yeah, I know they give lessons, and I've been to their studio a couple times. I did a little interview with Caught on Klein.
Nice.
During the pandemic, and when I was doing that, what was my Artist Underground? You were one of those. You were one of the first ones, actually. I was impressed when I got to his studio. I was like, dang, this is set up nice. It's a cool vibe in there. It's like very dark, and I like it. It's I'd like to work with him even more and doing some videos and stuff, because I'm always looking for a good spot. Sometimes I have musicians ask me like, can we record a studio session? And I'm like, well, if you have a good studio, like, I mean, some studios are better than others, and Niksch is like a good one for me, because I like having more space. Yeah. And then I like to, mess with the lighting a lot too. So, but I know Nick from way back. I went to high school with him.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Went to Maryville High School, and I was in band. I played trumpet. And that's how I know Nick. He's a couple years older than me, but I remember freshman year, he was in band with me. I think he played the clarinet or something.
Oh, really?
Something like that.
You play everything.
I can't remember.
Play everything. Really, when we want something on, like, for the most part, when we want something on a song, he'll be like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, literally.
Like, there's only a few things where he's like, I forgot what it was, but it was on, I think, in the last album, or maybe not this song, but the last song. He's like, yeah, I think I hear this on it. It's like, I can do it, but I think we should get somebody that actually does.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Nice. Yeah. And that's how I know James Getter too. I mean, me and James met back at Hub Pool in 3rd grade.
no way.
Hub Pool, which is now
R.I.P.
gone. Yeah. It's, they tore it out recently, but, yeah, so we've been friends since elementary school, and then in high school, James played trumpet. So we were both playing trumpet, and that's how I know like a lot of musicians in this area is just because of band, because of being in band at Maryville High School. So some people are always like, "Is he in a band?" Like when they ask about me, they're like, "For some reason, he knows all these musicians, but we're not sure why."
Right.
And it's like, no, I'm not in a band. I play guitar, but not as much as I used to. You know what I mean? I was in a band in college called the Syndicate. We were a punk band, and we were kind of terrible. But it was my first band. I had no stage presence. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I would just stand there, not moving, just like looking at my guitar playing.
Yeah.
And I think we had a video of it once. The video's long gone now, but I looked at it. I was like, we're really bad on stage. This is not good. And
George, how come you never moved?
yeah, I was like, I didn't know like what I looked like.
Charlie Cheese guy.
Like, yeah, like an animatronic.
Yeah.
I just like never had been on a stage before, and all of a sudden, like I get to Ball State and join this band, and we just like, I don't know, nobody. I never even thought about stage presence back then. It was always like just playing in my basement. So, that kind of stuff, I can see how it would like take years to like get good at. Yeah. Now, I mean, I've seen you play, and you have great stage presence. You even do crowd work, like talking to the crowd and stuff. It's super smooth. So I commend you for being good on stage. That's something that like I could never do. I feel like I'll never be good on stage. And I don't want to personally. Right. Honestly, it's not, I mean, I don't even like being in the limelight. I don't even really like doing these live streams, but it's fun to a certain extent because I really just like the technical side. So I like playing around with all this gear and just like getting it going. I like talking to people. So, it's not so bad that it's just me and you. Right. But if I had like 100,000 viewers, I'd probably get self-conscious.
Oh, really?
I
don't know if I would. I think, and I appreciate you saying that about my stage presence, and that takes time to kind of get, because at the beginning, you're always so worried about how you sound and are you playing stuff right? And then I came to the conclusion that, a lot of times if you miss a note or if you don't sing something exactly right at, for a certain song or whatnot, people don't really care as long as they're having fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they know it's a live performance and they're like, oh, you missed the note or you missed the chord. So I took time and, I learned that I think a lot from open mics. Mm-hmm. I told this story on another podcast I was on a couple weeks ago. I used to go to open mics and I never thought I was like the best singer, which I still don't think I'm the best singer, but there were people who were really good singers, you know what I mean? And at open mic, you get 3 or 4 songs. Mm-hmm. And I came to realize that, you'd have a great singer up there and everybody would get really involved in the performance for the first song. It'd be, oh, that person's so great, beautiful voice. But then I realized after song number 1, they would lose attention from everybody because they would play the same tempo song. They play the same chords. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, you sound great, but you're not entertaining anymore. Yeah. So that's actually kind of, as I mentioned, I'm a big Dave Matthews fan, how he does a lot of weird chords and stuff. I learned actually to do that because I'm like, okay, well, if I sound good, I want to make sure I can keep people's attention for more than one song. So whether it be me singing, or, changing tempo or, doing different chords and making it, having another kind of type show here where people are like, what's he playing? What's he doing? And also, like you mentioned, kind of bringing people in, like telling them what the song's about, asking them how they're doing, or just calling somebody out, it's paying attention. Cause if they know you're going to involve them, they stay more involved. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If you're just kind of playing in the background and you're just the jukebox guy, nobody's going to pay attention, unless you play their favorite song.
Do you ever do requests on a show?
Always. I mean, unless it's like like more of a, I guess, professional show where it's obviously hard to do that. It's like I have to have a set list. If it's like a bar, restaurant, that type of venue, I don't go in with the set list. I just start playing, see what people like.
And you play a lot of bars around here?
Yeah.
Yeah. is that kind of like the main thing you play is like bars and stuff? Or I know you've been doing some banner shows.
Yeah. Like I just recently opened up for Lee Bryce with Hometown Jams.
No,
Yeah, I saw that. That was super cool.
Yeah.
So like that's a gig that I can't take requests at because
And then
I only have so much time I gotta have.
was that at Bulldog Park?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that'd be hard to take requests anyways. It's so big.
Yeah.
Open. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's cool that you're getting these bigger gigs. Don't you know Nate Venturelli?
Yes.
Too?
Yeah, we grew up together.
You ever play a gig with him?
We have. Yeah, we actually are gonna be doing a gig in December. I don't remember the date offhand, but we do an annual Toys for Tots lineup. Or he does, and his manager sets it all up. His manager's done it for years. So it's a lineup of like 9 people. That's going to be at Avenue 912. I think the date is December 12th, but don't quote me on it.
Yeah, for
because I can't remember offhand. But yeah, we do a Toys for Tots show every year, so that's always where we're together. And then some other stuff as well every once in a while.
Yeah.
So
how do you feel about the music scene in Northwest Indiana? I kind of ask all the musicians this, and to me, it seems like a great scene, but I don't know if it's like easy to make money doing it, or like what do you think about the venues? Are they great? Are they lacking? What's your opinion about the Northwest Indiana live music scene?
I personally think it's great. I play all the time. So I think the one thing is that in order, I tell people if you want to do this, especially around here, because there's so much around here, whether you're in Lake County, Porter, you go out to, Porter County, Valpo,
LaPorte County, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, you go to LaPorte, there's places that take you out there, and then even all around. And then we're in a good spot where if you want to branch out a little bit, it's easy to get to Southwest Michigan. It's easy to get to Southwest suburbs, or to go to the city of Chicago. So it really all comes down to the connections and meeting people and working with people. That's when I started again, years ago, and they've kind of dried up since COVID, but there were so many open mics every week. We would basically, it was great because you meet and you network, right? The bar gets to hear you play a couple songs and then they book you. But then we would all meet up with each other. All the music friends would go at pretty much the same spots, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There was like always open mics, and you're all there with music friends jamming to songs that you play all the time, but now everybody's putting their own twist on it. It's so much fun. And then, the guys would have, or everybody would have their own shows, hopefully Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's like most of the week was open mic nights where we all get together, drink cheap beer, and try to get booked for the weekend. And it was great. But now the open mics have kind of dried up. There's not that many of them anymore.
Yeah, the only one that I know of that's really good, there's Jack. Does Jack Whittle still run the one in
he does a couple.
Finnegan's? I know.
Yeah, there's a few in Finnegan's.
Both do them.
There's a few jam nights at Finnegan's.
And then over at, I think it's called Doc's Smokehouse or something, in Highland maybe. What's their Fresh Hops? Fresh Hops runs one.
Yeah, I think that's in Dyer.
Oh, it's in Dyer. So yeah, okay. I knew it was somewhere around there.
And I think Jack runs one at the clubhouse in St. John now.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, and
and Nick Kazonis has a jam night at Regionale.
Oh, okay.
On Thursdays.
There are.
Yeah, there used to be
you could be just everywhere.
Used to, yeah.
You throw a stone and his stuff, and
yeah. And every night, like you can start at an early open mic at a pizza place, and then go to a late night like a Finnegan's, and then jam till 1, 2 in the morning. Like, that's how it used to be. That was good times. We probably really weren't responsible for not staying out that late in the morning, but
very young.
They were good times. They were good times. So now I would just say the only difference that's changed if somebody's kind of struggling and whatever, it's just really about making the connections and having, like we talked about earlier, it's just not about playing songs. When you're doing this, you actually kind of have to sell yourself and do sales and marketing and get out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have to have your own, run your own social media, and I'm sure getting local stuff is the best way to start off. And then, you could eventually transition to, what's that band? Andy Sutton plays drums. I can't remember. And then Chris.
Stop, Drop, Rewind?
Yeah, that's it.
They're a good band.
They transitioned into like becoming this sort of international sort of band because they got real big on TikTok.
Yeah.
They focused on social media hard. And I think Chris is the one who runs their social media. And
He does a great job.
they've just been blowing up like crazy.
Yeah, they got signed.
They got signed.
Their band got
Oh
signed.
wow!
Yeah.
I know they went to like Canada recently or something.
I think they went to Germany last year.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's insane. And I saw them playing right over here at Franklin House in Valpo not too long ago.
Yeah, they're good.
So it's cool, like to go see like a band playing locally, and then you see on social media they're halfway across the world doing something. It's like, wow, that's really neat. Like I know that guy.
Yeah, and they still live here. I mean, that's the other thing. You know, in this day and age, you don't have to go to Nashville or New York or LA. You know what I mean? You can if you want to immerse yourself in that scene, because that's obviously where the big industry people are.
Right.
But I mean, if you want to just be a performer and do it, I mean, the technology's there to do it.
Yeah.
You can do it from anywhere.
Yeah.
And then hopefully if you get to be good enough, or you write that one song that sticks, you either get your 15 minutes of fame or 15 seconds of fame, or maybe 15 years of fame. You know what I mean? You never know.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat over here. If anybody's watching right now, feel free to jump in the chat. And if you have questions for Frank, he can take requests. Yeah, if you got requests, he's gonna play a song here in just a minute. We're gonna have to have like a hard cutoff here at 2:30. Frank's got to get out of here. So yeah, if you guys are watching, let us know. We're gonna do probably more of these types of live events, or live podcasts, I should say, in the future. But yeah, this is super fun, just learning more about the industry with you, because I know when I was younger, I had no idea, like I didn't even know what open mics existed when I was like coming up playing like in high school and stuff. Like I wish I had done more of that, because you do learn so much just playing with other people, like other than just your normal people that you play with all the time. Maybe you have a friend or you take lessons or something, but going out and playing with random people, I know like every time I play with somebody random, I'm always like learning something new from them, and just it's so fun.
Right.
You know, like even I play a little bit. I'm sort of a bluesy player myself, and I was playing with Jack at an open mic in Michigan City, and he was showing. He's like, "No, you're doing this wrong. Do it this way. It'll sound better." I was like, "Oh, neat." I haven't like learned anything on guitar in years.
He's so smooth.
Yeah,
guitar.
Yeah,
he's great.
He is.
He's really good.
Do you ever play any shows with like a full band or anything?
The only times I have is there's only been like a couple shows, and then open mics. Yeah, for the most part, I usually do acoustic or acoustic duo with Brian.
Oh yeah.
So
your buddy Brian.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Mundy.
Yeah, Brian Mundy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And you guys, do you both, like, I know you have your solo stuff that you write. Does he have stuff that he writes too?
No, he won't write songs.
Okay.
I tell him to.
Yeah.
I tell him to.
Does he play backup on your songs?
It just depends on the songs. Like, for some of the stuff, like when I record with Nick, me and Nick are in the studio, and he's helping me with stuff, you know, like a lead guitar or something.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because we scheduled studio time and laid out tracks.
For your stuff, do you bring other musicians with you for shows to do those lead parts or anything like that?
I mean, I could. Yeah, but
generally no. Is it sort of a budget thing? Like these smaller venues don't have budgets for people?
Obviously, yeah. I mean, if you're doing this for scheduling for sure. And then if you think about it, like if it's a bar restaurant where I'm going to be playing for, you know, over 3 hours, and I just need somebody to come for a couple songs, you know, it's not feasible for them, and it's not really in a budget to pay them to come out when they try to go get their own show that night for 3 hours, you know, to get paid. So,
do you ever do weddings?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All the time. Oh, I didn't realize you did weddings like that.
Yeah. I'm usually, because I'm acoustic, I'm usually the ceremony and cocktail hour guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah.
So I do a lot of wedding, you know, I film a lot of weddings. Sometimes we have bands come where they're like 12 people in the band. They have like backup singers and dancers and everything. And they like, there's this one band that I've worked with a couple of times. I can't remember their name, but they literally swap out people because they get so tired.
Oh, really?
Because they like really got the dances choreographed and everything.
Wow.
So they will swap out people halfway and then like swap them back and stuff, like just to give them a break, because they're going all night.
Yep.
Like at the reception, they're going for 5-6 hours. Like,
that's crazy.
You know, if you're counting like from when they like start early on, and then all the way through the night, you know, it just keeps going. So
Probably part of one of those entertainment companies. There's a few companies that I just ran into one recently online, or they reached out for some reason and didn't work out. But I know there's a few companies. There's one in Chicago that I don't know the name, but I know some of my music friends, or you probably know some of them too, are in it. And they always just say the company, I got to go work for the company tonight. But they put together like these set lists and they say, okay, you need to know all these songs.
Yeah.
And then they just mix and match like, hey, we need a guitarist for this band this day, you know, and that's how they do it. So that they all know the same songs and they all play to a click track and all that stuff. So they're all always on time. But these are guys and girls that are really good because I know all of them are, and they do that stuff in Nashville too. You go down to Broadway. I mean, these guys and girls are bouncing around. Pretty much everyone knows the same music, and it's just like, you know. And the reason I found this out is because the last time we went down to Nashville for just to go down there and hang out, I kept seeing the same guitarists all day long playing at different bars. So I talked to him. I'm like, hey, dude, like, you know, I'm like, you play with all these bands? He goes, no. He goes, basically what happens is if a band needs a guitarist or a singer or whatnot, he's like, we all know pretty much all the same songs and we just mix and match. And that's how we make our living. We just bounce bars all day long.
That's cool.
With different bands.
Yeah. That's neat. It's so interesting to learn about these like ins and outs of the music industry, especially as like someone who I'm not in it at all. So I'm like completely brand new listening to all these crazy things about it. But it's neat to see how the networking works these days, because it seems like, I mean, that's true in any industry, but definitely in music, you really need to network. Yes, that's number one. Like any kind of performance-based sort of thing, like it's all about who you know and just like passing gigs back and forth. And things like that. It's a lot of stuff like that in the video industry too, especially for events,
right?
Because we're basically doing the same. We're a lot of times filming you guys, so you know. So that's why like it's kind of a good crossover for me to learn about this stuff, because it's part of my business is doing these types of things. So what your new music? Did you want to play that song?
Yeah, I could.
That new song that you're releasing tonight.
Yeah.
So this could be the exclusive official pre-release of the song live.
On video for sure.
On video.
I played the Lee Bryce thing.
Oh, nice.
That's where I debuted it. Yeah.
Well, this will be the first live one on video for you guys, just for you, because I'm such a nice guy. I guess I'm gonna let Frank play
Lakeshore Explorer exclusive.
Give me a little backstory about this song and what you know, what went into writing it and everything.
Yeah, so it's called Can't Say It's Not Country, and it's about our area up here, the region. So I started writing this song July 5th, 2020. And I always date when I start a song so I can remember when it, you know, where I was when I was doing it, whatnot. But you mentioned Nate Venturelli earlier. I was talking to him. And then another buddy of mine, Andy Mead, who's from Lansing. He's actually living in Nashville right now, but I've had conversations with Nate and, you know, him and other people before where, you know, when somebody comes up to you and they like you after a show or something, they're like, oh, why don't you move down to Nashville and give it a shot?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, well, we already talked about how you can do it anywhere. But we all had this conversation one time where people look at Northwest Indiana, when you go south, they look at Northwest Indiana in a weird way, because they even, you know, they made mention that, you go down and then they're like, oh, you know, country guy, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Northwest Indiana. Oh, okay. Just outside of Chicago. Yeah. You're not a country guy. I say like, oh, you're not, you don't even sound country. As everybody says we have kind of like a Chicago accent up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think I probably do too.
Yeah, you definitely.
Could be the Italian.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically that's what Can't Say It's Not Country, because I wrote about how like the country aspects of, you know, a little bit of the region. But then I thought it would be super funny where I got to open up for Lee Bryce, and obviously a big country guy, and you know, at home in Crown Point. So people obviously that there know me, they know I'm not a country guy. You know, they know I write songs and I kind of write a variety of sounding songs. You know, I just like to write and then play it, and, you know, kind of like the Beatles or Bob Dylan aspect or Tom Petty. Like they just write music. It might sound country, it might sound pop, rock, you never know. You know what I mean? So I'm like, wouldn't it be funny? I have this song in a notebook for 4 years. And if people know I'm not really a country guy, but I'm a singer-songwriter musician, and I'm opening up for this big country guy, I'll debut a new song called Can't Say It's Not Country.
Nice.
So it's like, the song, and then obviously you can't say I'm not country because I'm opening up for him, but
Yeah, right.
just a goofy joke in my head, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. That's cool.
Yeah.
When did you write? Did you write all the lyrics in 2020, or was that like a slow progression?
No, so pretty much the entire song, except for maybe 2 lines and the bridge, I wrote pretty much all that day.
Oh wow,
And I just put it down. Because sometimes I can finish a song immediately, like it
Mhm.
just comes out perfectly. Sometimes I can do verses and chorus, and I have to think about the bridge.
Mhm.
Like this one, we actually added the bridge just when we were in the studio,
Oh cool.
because I felt like it needed one,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't write anything to it at the time. And then there was just 2 lines I couldn't figure out what to put there, and I always think to myself, like, I don't just want to put anything there, because if I'm gonna start singing this and playing it, like I want to like what it says. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was like 2 lines that were left blank. So then finally, when I'm like, I got to write this, it just start saying things or
And
walking
we
around.
recorded this year.
Yeah, we recorded it right before the Lee Bryce show.
Oh, cool,
So
cool.
I went to Nick's studio probably 2-3 times. We knocked it out, and
Nice.
yeah, it was ready to go for that show. And then I just had to figure out a release date.
It's interesting that you say it like they don't think of it as country up here, which I agree. I don't think of it as country up here, but we do have like a lot of country musicians. We got James Guetta, he's very country. Nate Riley, I mean, he just won best upcoming country singer last year. Yeah,
Josie Awards.
which is insane for Northwest Indiana. And when I heard him sing the first time, I was like, oh, that is definitely like an Indiana country accent.
Yeah.
It's different from like Southern country accent. It is a little bit funny way to put that. Like there's a distinct, I can hear it personally when it's like an Indiana country accent, but does he talk like that in real life, or is that just sort of like for the aspect of singing?
Like a twang, like
The
a
twang, yeah, sort of. Because I know he's a work like steel or what welder.
yeah. I mean, I think he talks normal, but I've known him forever, so
Yeah.
you probably somebody have to talk to outside. And
Because I found it really interesting with the country accent do you sing in a country accent in the South?
no, I just sing my normal.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, let's hear you sing it.
Yeah. All right. Go grab the gi.
Because right now it is 2:23, so
Oh, cool.
we'll have you play it and then close this out. So if anybody's watching,
I appreciate you having me on.
looks like maybe nobody's watching, but
Oh, they'll be watching later.
they'll be watching next time.
They'll be watching later.
So we're rewatching this before your midnight. Oh yeah, let me put this. I'm gonna put this mic here, and that should be. You know what? Put this mic right there.
Oh, perfect. Good idea. What a smart guy you are.
Oh,
Hopefully I don't mess up the words. Get nervous on TV. But it's funny you say that. It's you know, how people don't think it's country up here, but we do have a bunch of farm fields. We got farmers, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's a good mix up here. That's why I think it's funny, because yeah, we are kind of city, but then we also are, farm.
Yeah.
In the same way. So
True. I live out in the country. If you guys didn't know, Ray, where I'm at is basically just cornfields. It's Wanata. Yeah.
cool. All right. Can't say it's not country.
Grew up in Indiana. They call me a region rat, but it ain't the city. Got cut off sleeves and a backwards hat. But every time I go a little bit south, yeah, they call me a northern boy. 'Cause they don't think I really know what it means to feel that southern joy. From City Lake to Lowell, just about everywhere we go, we got farms and open roads. You can't say that it's not country. Wear our boots to work, we ain't afraid to dig dirt. My baby wears a Willie Nelson t-shirt. You can't say that it's not country. We drink beer on bonfires, sitting on the tailgates of our trucks. And if you don't mind, we like to go and shoot our guns. When my sweet lady says, come here, baby, I kiss her like a southern gent. I hold her in my arms and we dance into the stars to the sounds of the Zac Brown Band. From City Lake to Lowell, just about everywhere we go, we got farms and open roads. You can't say that it's not country. Wear our boots to work, we ain't afraid to dig dirt. My baby wears a Willie Nelson t-shirt. You can't say that it's not country, yeah. Said, hey, you can't say, hey, you can't say, hey, you can't say, hey, you can't say. From City Lake to Lowell, just about everywhere we go, we got farms and open roads. You can't say that it's not country. Wear our boots to work, we ain't afraid to dig dirt. My baby wears a Willie Nelson t-shirt. You can't say that it's not country, yeah. Grew up in Indiana. They call me a region rat, but it ain't the city. Got cut off sleeves and a backwards hat.
Nice.
So a shout out to Cedar Lake and Lowell there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But I'm not picking on Cedar Lake or Lowell. I actually debuted, or my networking group that I'm in, let them listen to it because I was telling them about, it's a business networking group. So talking about a different side of business from the music side. Because I'm in that group as a realtor. I'm also a realtor. But one of the ladies lives in DeMont. She was, you could have said DeMont. We have a lot of fun land. I'm like, I know, but Cedar Lake to Lowell just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah,
it literally is right down.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was cool, man. I liked it. It made me laugh the way you were talking about it. I was like, he's right. It is like, we live in the country here. Really, we're like right on that border between city and country. So. It's I love living in this area. Like I personally love the region. I love Northwest Indiana. Being that proximity to Chicago means that like we can get those jobs and stuff, but it's cheaper to live in Indiana. So that's why a lot of people have been moving to Crown Point, especially. Oh man, I personally had to get out of Crown Point just because it was just so much traffic. I couldn't deal with the traffic anymore. So that's why I came out to the country here. So you can't say I'm not in the country. So, but Frank, I should mention this. Frank was my real estate agent when I was looking for a home to buy, and Frank did an amazing job finding me an awesome home. He was on vacation, like literally on honeymoon, and he's over here like trying to, put in an offer on my house that I now live in here. So Frank, thank you for that. I just wanted to thank you for just putting in the extra work. If anybody else is looking for a real estate agent, Frank is your guy. If you're selling, if you're buying, come talk to Frank. And then if you have a venue and you want someone to come play some acoustic, Frank's your guy for that as well.
Appreciate it. And the joke I always tell because I have no problem, I love what I do, so it's not a issue. When I'm out of town, like in Mexico or something, we were in Mexico for our honeymoon. My joke is when I make a deal, I'm an international businessman.
That's true.
They're like, why are you working on your honeymoon? I'm like, because I'm an international businessman. I got to get this deal done so I can get back to my honeymoon.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. Where can we find your work? Where can we see the studio version of the song tonight?
Yeah, it's all streaming platforms, Spotify, iTunes. Should be out right at midnight, I would assume, because it's set to release on the 7th, which is tomorrow.
Okay.
So it should be out at midnight tonight. And then we have a show release party at Off Square Brewing this Saturday, the 9th, at 7:30. My buddy Andre Daddy's going to be opening up for us. And tickets are $10. You can get that on frankruvolimusic.com. Ruvoli, R-U-V as in Victor, O-L-I.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think we're going to end it here. I don't see any questions in the chat. You guys need to get in the chat next time. But I did stream this on the Lakeshore Explorer page, so that could be why I don't have a lot of followers there. So
I would have questions on mine because it's yeah. It's all right.
We'll share this around, and you guys share it with all your friends at home, and keep staying tuned. Follow us on Facebook. We'll put clips on Instagram, and we're probably gonna put it on YouTube as well. We put it up on Spotify. as like an actual podcast and all that stuff. So follow us everywhere. Follow Frank Ruvoli. Just look him up on all the socials and you should be able to find it. So thanks again,
man.
Frank.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You do a great job. You're always way ahead of the tech game, dude. Every time I see you got some new toys, dude. So this is super cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we are using like 10-year-old cameras, and I did it specifically for the aesthetic. Like these are old little handy cams, so it might, even if it doesn't, like it might not look super high quality to you guys, but I did that on purpose for the aesthetic because just doing something different sometimes is like gonna make it stand out better.
It's that warm vibe.
Yeah. When I did the one with James Guetta, like I swear all the ones that I shared with him got more views, all the short clips, because it was like looked crappier. And I talk about this with my buddy who's a videographer all the time. And he's like, yeah, man, like the vibe these days is like, just do like lower quality and people love it for some reason.
Not.
So
Yeah.
do you hear that with music too? People.
Well, yeah. I mean, because people, it's like, I mean, that's basically, if you think about like Zach Bryan, he was just kind of doing scratch tracks from his house, acoustic, and then he blew up. And now, of course, he goes into a studio to do it. But I don't know. I mean, people like that raw emotion or kind of like raw, you know. Yeah. And then when you, especially when it's to get content out all the time. Yeah. And I don't think people expect, you know, obviously if they're going to pay for something, they're going to want higher quality. But
well, we don't have time to get deeper into this now. So we'll catch you guys in the next stream. And thanks for watching.
Thanks, everyone.